Hey guys, what is going on? It is IROC back again with episode 4 of the tutorial and rebuild the Rangers series. Got to get my notes up here really quickly for what to talk about today. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in, continue the game. First thing I want to say is I actually had some problems with the latest hotfix that they released. I think it was today or yesterday, either Wednesday or Tuesday. Depends on when this goes up. This might not go up tonight, so it might go up a day after I record it. But I had some problems. I couldn't get the leagues to load. The leagues were disappeared, and then when I went ahead and tried to uh, load the backups, luckily I had two saves that I could load. Luckily, it wasn't just this one. When I loaded the two backups, um, or loaded the one back up, the one that wasn't this one, it wouldn't save. I tried. It um, had lost my filter here, so I couldn't use the prospects filter. When I went to add it and went to save it, it actually crashed the game, which I don't think I've ever seen out of the park crash, at least not in the last couple of years, from normal gameplay. That was a problem maybe around 16 when it wasn't as good at multi-threading. But recently, I've really rarely had problems with the game crashing, considering how CPU intensive it is. That's pretty good. And then it couldn't save. It kept there were errors with the database file. Sorry about that. Need some water. So I went ahead. I searched Marcus's previous posts, sort of by having patch in the title, and was able to find the last stable patch I was playing on, which was the one from January sometime. I hadn't updated this week because I've had a decently long week at work. That's part of the reason I'm not recording this until Wednesday night. Um, and that has been running with no issues. But I don't know if that is an issue specific to me or an issue specific to, or an issue that's a wider spread. I did save that search because that pretty much is the best compilation of all the of all the various updates. Like if I, it was basically just every update they've issued on out of the Part 19 this year. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a link to that in the description if the bookmark actually works, just in case anyone else is having that problem or has a problem like that and needs to come back and try to re-update or roll back to a previous update. So I had a couple of things I really wanted to start out with here on the 20 to 80 scale. So go ahead and pull up Billy Calhoun here. So, Matthew Molden on YouTube had actually pointed out on one of my previous videos that I was wrong about the 20 to 80 scale. So the 20 to 80 scale is not 50% is better than 50%, 20 is better than 20%, and 80 is better than 80%. It's actually standard deviation. So if you see like his 50, he is actually average, better than about 50% in the league. But his 40 here at infield range means he is worse than 68% of the league. So a 60 is better than 68% of the league, and a 40 is worse than 68% of the league. 70 is better than 95% of the league, so his avoid case is better than 95% of the league. And 30 is worse than 95% of the league. And 20 is worse than 99.7% of the league, but 80 is better than 99.7 of the league. So the let me find it. Let me see if he. I actually haven't looked at the prospect lists to see if Vladdy. So yeah, so Vlad's 80 contact potential that a lot of people are giving him, that a lot of groups are giving him, is just insane for how good it is. So thanks to Matthew Molden for pointing that out that I was wrong, and I was giving you guys really bad information, making it seem basically like Vlad wasn't really that good, and making it seem like 80 was a lot more common than it really is. You really don't see that. You really don't see 80s all that much, let alone a potential 80 overall. That's insane. Um, then there was something else I did want to mention that had been mentioned on Reddit. I can't find it right now. When I do find it or remember what it was, I will go ahead and point it out to you guys, and we'll go over it then. So I'll go ahead, actually, going back to the 20 to 80 scale. I found some more information on that from Fangraphs, and the article actually talks about tools and how it calls it objective tool grades. Basically, how fast a fastball is for it to be graded that, how fast you are down the line to grade a speed, that kind of thing. What you can objectively measure to try to grade a player based on his or potential, what you can kind of try to translate that to, and also kind of a war translation that's not nearly as good. So it's got some really good information if you want to know more about how scouting works in general, and this is really applicable not only to Out of the Park, but to Major League Baseball as a whole. That's gonna be a really fun resource. It's a really great read. I really love Fangraphs articles. I think all of their articles are absolutely fantastic. The only thing I don't like about Fangraphs is I think their what do you call it? Their stats pages are incredibly hard to read, and they're not really intuitive. So I still prefer BBRef when I look for just stat lines, baseball reference when I'm just looking for stat lines. But even for something as simple as WAR, I'm going to default to FWAR rather than BWAR, even though I much prefer looking up stats on baseball reference. But let's get into the actual episode here. We've already wasted a decent amount of time. That's not what I wanted to do. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here. And I kind of want to talk about the injury, but I believe, or the disabled list, it's going to be called the injury list or the injured list, one of the two, in baseball starting in 2019. So starting in Out of the Park 20, it should be changed. Um, so you may hear me refer to it as a difference in them. But we've got Tony Barnett here that's going to be back in a week. He's got 9 days left on the DL. So you can see he'll be healthy probably about next Thursday, but we still can't activate it for 9 days. So he was placed on the 10-day DL before I got to him, or else I might not have. So he has to be on the DL for 10 days, 9 more days, because I guess we've simulated 1 day so far. List. Um, and then you've also got some guys on the 60-day DL, like Clayton Blackburn. So he has to be on the DL for these 60 days. Now, obviously, he and Ronald Herrera, the two I do have on the 60-day DL, are out for more than 60 days, three plus months. Palumbo, who you can see is out 8 weeks, is not on the 60-day DL because he would have to be 8 weeks is actually about 56 days. So there's a theory that he could come off the DL before then, and it probably started yesterday, so it's probably 55 more days. But we are going to just simulate a few days, and okay, so Cole Hamels got a really good start, and we lost, of course, and hired help. So it looks like we signed one of the minor leaguers to a deal. Well, they signed all four of the minor leaguers to a deal. So that's good for us. So all of them are now you can see right here it says RAN2, which is considered my lowest minor league level. So if you go to your minor leagues, you can see our DSL2 is this one right here, and what are the names of those people? Why are they not showing up here? They should be. Oh well. We'll go back here. So you can see he's assigned to RDSL1. That's why. So um minor leagues. So these three leagues are actually all the same level. AZL, DSL are the same level. One's in Arizona, one's in the Dominican Republic. So obviously you're going to see um, a lot more Hispanic players and Latin players in the DSL leagues, and most of your draft picks and more American-born players are going to be at the AZL. The AZL is technically a little bit better than the DSL in the sense that there's going to be probably a little bit more consistency in the quality of the players, just because teams are more careful about the players they draft than they sign more people down in the DSL. And then on top of that, most of the time, most teams will call over their best players from the DSL and start them at the AZL. So this is just slightly higher, but they are essentially the same level. So we signed all those guys, and let's keep simulating. I want to get to the. Oh, we signed our scouting director. That is great. So let us see if he has rescouted any. Let's see if he has rescouted our players. So let's go to prospects, and looks like trying to find Willie Calhoun here. Looks like he might have rescouted Willie Calhoun because I think Willie Calhoun was a 50 before. Um, yeah, I think he has rescouted because I think Julio Pablo Martinez was a 65 before. So I'm hoping he's rescouting some of our players. So let's see. I can't remember who the pitcher was that we wanted to rescout, but I'll just operate on the fact that these probably are all pretty good. So it looks like we won our second game. So we're not going to go 0-62 this year, but I really want to get to the point where we are bringing whoever it is off the DL, because that's going to get into my next point about rehab assignments. Oh, I should turn those off. I'm not playing the game, so I don't care about the scouting director. See, I can't remember where. I'm trying to figure out where you can turn off the scouting director reports, but I don't remember where that is. I thought it was in here, but I didn't realize trading difficulty was hard in challenge mode. Huh, today I learned. So, oh, I have now been reminded of the other thing I wanted to talk about. So, someone on Reddit, I don't remember who it was. I am sorry. I don't have that up, and I don't remember which video the comment section was on, so I can't quickly pull it up. Had mentioned TCR, talent chance randomness. So, talent chance randomness is the chance that a player who is like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's rated as an 80 overall, just busts and never makes it to the majors. But also that a player like, I'm going to go get an example here. So, roster, need to find someone who is like a 20s across, like Yeker Kayuga or Kaigua, who is like 20s and 30s across the board, actually makes it to the major league level, and turns into a perennial all-star and Hall of Famer. TCR, talent chance randomness, makes those kind of player, changes, affects the chances that those players have those kind of swings. So, I think I've said it, there's no such thing as a sure prospect. And one of the reasons for that is, just like in real life, with the Royals drafting Kyle Zimmer, and nothing's ever come of that. Bubba Starling, 5-tool prospect, and he's not hitting at all. He can't make it past AAA. I use the Royals a lot for my examples because I'm really familiar with their whole system because I'm a huge Royals fan. I try to find non-Royals examples where I can, but for something like this where I'm just coming at it without preparation, I'm probably just going to have to default to the Royals unless I can think of someone else. So that's something I did want to mention is talent chance randomness means no one is a sure thing, and you can't really rule anyone out. So because of that, it's probably a good idea to actually just occasionally go to your AAA team and just look at players and look at stats and see if, anyone's having a really good season. Like it doesn't look like they've actually started this season yet. But, come back. I usually you want to come back about once a month and just see if anyone's having a really good season. Because if someone's having a really good season, maybe the scout is wrong and they've defied the talent chance randomness portion. So we will. Okay, we got our first save. We are getting all the achievements, so that's gonna be great. And oh, I know what I need to do. I need to get to the waiver wire. So we're going to be on the waiver wire. We'll come back to the injuries when he comes off. So perfect. I have perfect timing to come to the waiver wire. So the Cubs have waived Mike Montgomery. Now what that means is they are saying they no longer, or they are trying to get him off the major league roster and probably the 40-man roster. So let me jump to my waiver wire notes. I just have for this episode, I've made a cluster of notes for things when they come up, and the waiver wire is on that list. So just so when it comes up in the game, I can just talk about it. So what you want to look at for something like this is you want to look at what is their potential. So 50 stuff, 50 movement, 45 control. 4 solid pitches and an average pitch. That's not bad. His stamina 45, so he could be a starter and he could kind of be a starter, but he's probably better as a betweener between long relief and starter, emergency starter, sixth starter, something like that. And next, I want to look at his metrics. So I don't want to look at this year because he has 1 appearance. Looking at his strikeouts, he's getting 7.9, 6.9 strikeouts over a full season, couple full seasons, and last year was really good. He had 132 innings, had 14 starts, and he's done okay. He's done really well at limiting home runs, but he walked a lot of people last year. Um, so he's kind of a player that I'm on the fence about. Personally, I think he's a better pitcher than people give him credit for, but his numbers in the game don't really say he's that great. On top of that, I would really look at him right now as a starter, and I don't really have a place for a starter on my roster. I'm going to continue looking through this because this is a pretty good example of a player that's going to end up on the waiver wire. Starters who are kind of borderline starters, relievers who are borderline major league relievers. You know, catchers and backup infielders, they're going to end up on this wire when the team wants to get them off the roster. So he is out of option years, so I can't take him and option him to AAA. He expects to be at the major league level in the bullpen. That's not that's not vital, but it is something that's nice to know. Um, he is signed. It looks like he would probably be eligible for his first year of arbitration this year because you get eligible for arbitration at 3 years of major league service. So he's going to be fairly cost controlled. The reason the Cubs are DFAing him seems like they might have an injury and they just needed to cut someone. This doesn't seem like a move that the roster would make. I don't know why I got back there. This doesn't seem like a move that the real Cubs would make because you wouldn't be waiving someone this early in the season, most likely. You'd probably be optioning someone to AAA that has options available. So I'm actually going to pass on him. He will be on this list for 3 days. Don't know exactly how long we're going to be here before the injury comes up. He will be on this list for 3 days, so I have 3 days to make my decision. I'm going to make my decision right now, barring a major injury that would make me go, holy crap, I need a starter. And with the depth I have, which isn't great, but it's something, I'd want a few injuries before I consider getting something like this that I can't really stash and isn't that great. So the big thing about this is if you are going to claim him, you need to know exactly how you want to use him and who you're going to move off your active roster and if necessary your 40-man roster before you make a claim. He's going to have to be on your 40-man roster and he's going to have to be on your major league roster because you can't option him. So you either have to try to put him through irrevocable waivers yourself to get him off your 40-man roster and hope he doesn't have the ability to refuse a minor league assignment because I don't know if you see that here. I don't see it on here. So I don't know of any way to check without going to like this page right here for the Cubs of if he has roster the ability to refuse a minor league assignment. So you may claim him and try to stash him at AAA, and then all of a sudden, oh, you can't because he can refuse a minor league assignment, so you have to release him, and you had to kick someone off your 40-man roster or your 25-man roster to do it. So I'm going to continue simulating because I don't plan on claiming Mike Montgomery, but he's really interesting. If this was like June or July, I might claim him. The other thing to mention is that I don't know exactly how it works in this game, but every team has a chance to claim him. I don't know how it resolves in the game. Oh, wow, there's a lot of people on that roster, but it kicked me over here. Or on the waiver wire, but it kicked me over here. In game, I'll finish this and then come to the injury. In real life, the waiver wire order is the 14 teams in your league from worst to best record, and then the 15 teams in the other league from worst to best record. So even though the Orioles were in were the worst team in baseball last year. If the Reds waive someone and put someone on waivers, the Brewers, who had the best record in the NL, would actually have the option to claim them before the Orioles. I don't know if that's how it works in real life. So, Tony Barnett, getting back to the injured player here, Tony Barnett is ready to come off the DL. He's eligible to come off the DL. So instead of calling him up right away, I'm actually going to send him on a rehab assignment. So to do that, you go to transaction, rehab assignment to minors. As you can see here, do you really want to send Tony Barnett to a rehab assignment in the minors? Player will be assigned to your highest minor league team. The rehab can be up to 20 days for position players and 30 days for pitchers. Yes. If there's any kind of extended injury and you don't immediately need that player back, like for to cover for another injury, or it's Miguel Cabrera and you need that bat in your lineup, you probably want to send them on a minor league assignment. That gets them a decent amount of time to get back in the swing of things and get them facing lower level competition and back up to where they are or where they should be at the major league level. So within 30 days, I have to add him back to the major league roster. Now, one thing is that does let him do that. The other thing is roster management. There is a good chance that one of these relievers that's on the roster gets hurt in the next month, or one of the starters gets hurt in the next month. And I need to call up a pitcher, and I can use that as a chance to bring who was it? It wasn't Perez, Tony Barnett. Bring him up to the major league level and get him out of his rehab assignment. Now, it shows that he's on rehab, 30 days left, and it shows he's at AAA Round Rock. He's not actually assigned to AAA, so he's not. This isn't using an option. So if you go to his contract, he has not used an option for this season. So this isn't using an option. You can put any player, regardless of whether they have options or not, on a minor league assignment, on a minor league rehab assignment. I have had issues if I want to demote someone to AAA. I don't remember if I wanted to demote Barnett to AAA at the end of this. I don't think I did because he's got pretty good experience at the major league level. So I've had problems when trying to demote players to AAA when they're on a rehab assignment at AAA. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know if there's a way around it. I just want to let you know that's a problem I've had. So if you try to do that, you may experience the same problem. I actually had to put them on the major league roster, which requires demoting someone else, and then demote them to AAA. So you might as well add them to the major league roster for a little bit at that point. So I just want to let you guys know. I don't know if you can demote them to AA and do it that way, and then promote them back to AAA to get around that. But that's just something I've come across. So we will get more into the DL later. I will come back to that as soon as I look at the waiver wire because 3 players appeared on the waiver wire and it kicked me out of it. Okay, 4 players appeared on the waiver wire. So Anthony Bass, starting pitcher for the Cubs. Man, they are rolling through starting pitchers here. Nothing really that good. Stuff of 50, but 5 pitches, so that stuff's probably a little lower than you'd like. Movement and control of 45. Had pretty good strikeout numbers last year at AAA, but didn't really see that success at major league level, but only over 5 innings. I'm not really in the position to claim anyone right now. I've got, especially pitchers, I've got so many pitchers that are injured that I really don't want to take someone on until if I lose a lot of pitchers, because I'm just going to be in the same position where I'm having to figure out what to do with someone like this in a month. So I don't feel like I'm in a position to take him. Eric Gonzalez, looking at his stats here, did okay at the major league level this year, but 2 seasons prior, just looking at his OPS plus, doesn't look like he was doing that well. His OPS isn't that great. His slugging's not bad, but he's got really low on base percentage. So now I'll go look at his metrics here. Nope, wrong one. View, that's the one. Expanded batting stats. It's only going to show me major leagues. BABIP has been really good across pretty small sample size, or decently small sample size. WOBA of 289. Strikeout percentage of 32.2% and a walk ratio of 2.6%. So that right there kind of shows everything you really need to know about him. Yeah, he's got a BABIP across a pretty okay sample size. It's still a little small, but it's enough that you say, okay, that's probably not all luck. He's probably, when he makes contact, he's probably getting on base above an average amount of times. And then you go and you look, oh, he's striking out almost a third of the time he steps into the batter's box. And then and a strikeout is the worst result you can get from an at bat, except maybe a double play. So since you can't always ground into a double play, you can ground into a double play maybe 25% of the time, if that, you come up. Really, a strikeout is the worst kind of thing you can go through. As you can see, he spent a lot of last year at AAA and still had that 32% or 31%. But the 2 years before, it was a lot lower. So I don't know what happened here. Maybe he hit that plateau. His walks were getting worse. His walk ratio was getting worse both years. So I don't know if he hit that plateau where he just isn't doing as well, and striking out a lot more, or what happened. But I really don't need a utility player who strikes out a third of the time. I don't really have a place for that on this roster. I know I'm the Rangers, but I want to change some things about it. Giovanni Urshela maybe could be a utility player in a pinch. Below average offensive player, even with that 60 avoid case, 50 contact. Low leader, low work ethic. So he's not great in the locker room. Doesn't have a personality class for him. I'm gonna guess he's like disruptor or something like that. Definitely selfish. So batting stats again. I don't even know why I'm looking at this. I'm not gonna sign him. Yeah, his WRC is awful at the major league level. BABIP is awful at the major league level. Are they really designating two players for assignment at the same time? That's pretty. You don't see that too often, and they're both position players. Yeah, results at AAA aren't that great, but he strikes out a lot less, which is good because his void K is his best rating. But yeah, he's not making great contact. Making okay contact for a guy who has 50 contact. He's pretty close to average. Has no power, so he's always going to be a little less. So contact's always going to be a little bit worse. But again, don't really have room for a player who can't really hit as a utility player on my roster right now. I've got plenty of players that kind of fit that mold, but just hit better. And then click here to get back to a few pages. Go back here, Christian Cologne. Yeah, love the man in real life. Got the game-winning RBI for the Royals in the World Series, and has done absolutely nothing in the regular season to merit a roster spot. Batting stats, has been okay across a few innings here and there, but never really amassed a lot of time at the major league level. Never really has good stats across it. Going to his expanded stats. Oh, I'm already at his expanded stats. Strikeout rate's okay. Walk rate's okay. BABIP is really low. Or no, that's ISO. BABIP has just gotten worse. At AAA, he's actually okay at AAA. BABIP's pretty good. Strikeout rate's low. Walk rate's pretty good. ISO's a bit low. He's not a power guy. He's probably kind of a 4A player that you kind of move up and down between AA and AAA, or the AAA and the majors when you need him. Unfortunately, you can only do that like for 3 years. So he's gonna just probably ride the waiver wire to the end of his career until he just becomes not good enough to merit a major league roster spot. Then he'll just be a AAA guy or he'll retire. So I want to get back to injuries here and talk about the 60-day EL. We're gonna keep just come across. Oh my goodness. Uh, Same thing for Tim Lincecum. Rehab assignment. Probably gonna release him, like I kind of mentioned. I don't like his chances of really contributing, and a lot of people were added. So let's see. We didn't look at Matt Scherzer. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Um, Been around at the major league level for quite a while. Maybe I'm confusing him with someone else. He's been around since 2014. Not that great. He's got a 1,000 BABIP, but he has How many balls does he put in play? It doesn't say on here. But he's probably put like 2 or 3 balls in play. Um, and that's this year. Like across the years, below average BABIP except for 2016 when he saw 200 plate appearances. ISO okay for a guy who doesn't have a lot of power. Strikeout pretty low. Walk rate's pretty decent in that year. Has been pretty decent in 2017 for compared to the rest of it. So he might be improving, but not enough to take a chance. You can play all 3 outfield positions, so he's a good 4th outfielder. But apparently the Padres don't need him. Adam Ottaviano. So this is actually a really interesting pick, or really interesting guy to be on the waiver wire because you can see he's got really good stuff, slightly below average movement and control. He's outspoken, so he's not great in the clubhouse. High work ethic, low leader. Let's look at his contract because his contract might not be great. Yeah, he's got a lot of service time. And he's owed 10.4 million. And if we claim him on waivers, we're responsible for all of that. So that's something else you have to keep in mind. If you're taking a pitcher or a player like Ottaviano, who has a huge contract, you are responsible for the entire amount of that contract. So you're not really going to want to, or I wouldn't really want to take on a contract like this for a player who's slightly above average. Maybe if I was in a playoff push, I'd be interested in that. This video is actually getting pretty long, so I don't want to go forever. Rajai Davis, we're not even going to consider. So I don't want to. I want to get through a little bit more time this video. I'm probably not going to get to the draft because that's in June, and we are like 10 days into the season. But you're looking through here, Hector Rondon. So that is actually an interesting one. He's got 65 stuff and 60 control. And you want to know why he's being designated for assignment? Well, they probably need his roster and they don't feel like he's getting good results. I don't really get why he's being designated for assignment. He's got pretty good peripherals and he's owed 4 million and 4.5 next year. I am seriously considering taking Hector Rondon. I think this is a really, really talented player. So let's go look at our pitching staff. I'll look on rosters and transactions. Players, actually. No rosters and transactions. So we want to see who has a minor league option. So Matt Bush apparently has minor league options, but he's actually been pretty good at the major league level, so I don't necessarily want to option him. Keon Kella has been pretty good at the major league level, so I don't want to option him. Chris Martin is getting lit up and got lit up the last time he was at the major league level, and he has options. So we are going to go ahead and place a claim on Hector Rondon. And so we do that. We go to transaction, claim player. So you can see claim has been accepted. He'll remain on the waivers, in which time the team might pull him back or another team might claim him. So that makes it seem like there is revocable waivers. I haven't figured out how to do revocable waivers. Maybe it's because I've only tried to waive players who couldn't go on revocable waivers. I just want to go here and clear all these out because I hate seeing that number go up. So yeah, that's the kind of player that you will find a player like Hector Rondon on waivers, a player that is a really quality player on a fairly good contract. He's been fairly productive, and they're waiving him for whatever reason. And I have no reason really not to claim him. He's better than something I've got on the major league roster. I've got someone I can get off the roster and still keep to get him into my system, and he's on a pretty good contract. 4 million and 4.5 million over 2 years is not that bad for a reliever, especially one who's got decent potential. This could heavily backfire, but you do have to take some risks at some point. To make this work. So I'm gonna go ahead and place my claim on him, and nothing there. it is a pretty good idea to kind of just live on this screen. Oh my goodness, Aaron Hicks. Um, and of course, Wilmer Font gets waived now. Um, yeah, he looks okay, but not great. Got a really high walk per nine in last year in his. Oh wait, that's really bad sample size. Yeah, he might even be better. Um, man, I'm gonna regret claiming Rondon if I can't get Font. 'Cause I think Font is better. We'll see if I don't get Rondon. If I don't, I will claim Font. As you can see here, San Francisco's placed a claim on Aaron Hicks. So, okay, we'll finish today, and so we were able to get a waiver claim on Hector Rondon, and Yu Darvish pitched a no hitter. So, congrats you for finding success in the fake 2018 I'm creating here. So now he is designated for assignment. So to see him, we go to rosters and transactions and waivers and DFA. So he's right here. We have 7 days to act with him. I'm going to go ahead and act on this now. I'm going to demote Martin to AAA Round Rock and move Hector Rondon to the Major League roster. So we're going to jump back to the waiver wire. Does Wilmer Font have a huge contract or something? No, he doesn't. He's he's out of option years. And he's on irrevocable waivers, so yeah, that's a really curious waiver, but I'm not gonna claim him and Hector Rondon. So I jumped a little early. Um maybe I should have waited a day, but oh well. So keep going. Get to wow, a lot of people just cleared off that list. Um, try and get to the end of May. Normally, I don't always sim this slowly, but I am trying to check the waiver wire. So Cole Hamels, this is a really good example. He has a tired arm and he can't play for 5 days. I don't want to put him on the DL and take him off the list for 10 days. So I'm going to leave him on the roster and just hope that my manager skips his spot in the rotation next time around. Trust that my manager will, not play him up. There's an injury there. Okay, hand soreness minimal. So yeah, something like this that's not longer than 3 days and it's minimal. The game by default won't tell you about it. He can play through it with almost no consequences. He might give up a few more runs or might strike out a few more people, but he should be fine. Substantial means if you're a manager, you do not want to play that person until they are better. So if this was actually a position player, I would probably put him on the DL. But since he's a starter, you're just gonna have to move his start back one day. So I can't, yeah, I can't make a change there. I would want to do that actually tomorrow. So I'm gonna leave that. But yeah, you will get things like that. That's a good example of a place I wouldn't put someone on the DL because he's only gonna have his start pushed back one day, which is not bad. So we can cope with that, and I don't want to have to put him on the DL for uh 10 days and lose him for more than one start. I gotta put him on a minor league assignment as well. While we're here, we will check. See, Lincecum has 22 days, which means Barnett has 21. So Barnett's doing okay. Lincecum is not really. So, oh yeah. We want to get back to the waiver wire over here, and looks like we are not really having a great start to the season. Part of that is we have a lot of pitching injured, but we still have a lot of pretty talented pitching that is at the major league level. This is a really solid pitcher here, Adam Warren. So the contract, yeah, he's got a pretty decent contract. This would be a really good claim if you needed a roster spot. He's above average, projected to be above average at everything. Looks like they just want him off the roster. He's not had great peripherals. this year. Um, you can see his walks per nine is up a lot, and his strikeouts per nine is down a lot. But it's so early in the year, like, oops, kick the mic stand there. You can't really predict too much off that. So, no one else really that interesting here. Trevor Cahill's another kind of player you might see on this list pretty often. Guy who's been around, has a pretty big contract that no one's gonna want to take on, but you know, gonna simulate till the end of May. Uh, Kansas City's placed Ryan Goins on waivers a lot faster than they did in real life. Still no one interesting there. Um, Go in and clear out my mail and news. And you don't have to simulate like every day. I do want to keep checking the waiver wire. So like I can simulate to next week. So it's always going to simulate to oh come on. It's always going to simulate till Monday. Till the at most the next Monday. I don't know why that is. I guess it's because next week instead of simulate 1 week. So it was who? Kevin Jepson? Yeah, Jepson. So moderate effect, 1 to 2 weeks. That's a pretty good candidate for the 10-day DL. And now we have a roster opening for Mr. Barnett. So ready to go ahead and bring Mr. Barnett up and take him out of his rehab assignment. And now he's gonna go ahead and pitch. So we will hope that he does well this year. He didn't have a great season last season at the major league level, but we'll hope he does better this year. So, oh, that said Cano season done for Cano. I'm like, ooh, that's not good. It's like real life. Peter Bourgeois, Peter Borges. That is a name I haven't heard in a long time. I've heard it, but haven't expected it. Wow, the White Sox are really claiming some players. So go ahead and sim till next week. Of course, every time I do that, he's suspended and he's out of. Is he not suspended in this game? Yeah, he's on the restricted list and he's still got another injury. I knew you could get more than one injury, but I'd never seen it. Oh my goodness. Uh, Unclear. Ugh, that's not great, but he's been okay. So it's not the end of the world, but that's fine. He's gonna be. Oh, we finally got a sweep. So Martin Perez eligible to come off the DL. Obviously, again, rehab assignment 2 minors. Okay, let us check on Mr. Lincecum. 12 days left, and he's not getting any better. So we will try to give him benefit. Give him every chance to prove himself. But the closer we get to the time he has to come off that, the more likely we are to release him. So as you can see, he's suspended for 3 games. So as you can see, there's a lot of pitchers that end up on this list. There's a lot of pitchers that are kind of the fringe between major league talent and AAA talent that end up on this list because you move pitchers around a lot, especially relief pitchers. You move them around quite a bit to try and make room on your roster and try to make a bullpen work, especially if you're successful. And then you get roster crunch when something comes like this where you need to call someone else up because this guy isn't being effective, and now you have to release them all off your roster. So, okay, so we're done with that. Tommy Joseph, fine. So, like I said, I want to remember to do this. I'm going to do this right now. It's been a month, so it's the 1st of May. So we're going to go and we're going to check AAA. See if there is anyone that's really pressing their way up. I fully expected an injury to a position player by now and to have my hand forced for Mr. Calhoun, but I haven't, or have a reason to call it Mr. Calhoun. So the reason I'm checking AAA only is because if a player's beating talent chance randomness, playing way outside their potential, or what the scout is saying their potential is, they're gonna get promoted through the system. So, um, no, he probably does deserve to be demoted, but I'm not sure. Oh, he's on a minor league assignment. Doing okay, but doesn't appear to be doing anything really well. I should really be checking like their peripherals, but I'm really gonna look at like the strikeouts, the innings, and the ERA to kind of tell on pitchers. So like Tyler Wagner, like he's doing pretty well. So I'll go in and I'll check his strikeouts per nine, 7.9. He's doing about as well as I'd expect. I wouldn't have a problem actually calling him up to the major league level in a pinch, but I think he still needs to be at the AAA level. He's not really his metrics aren't as good as like his ERA is saying. So RJ Alvarez doing okay, hasn't pitched much, doing okay. Um, Coming here again. A lot of walks per nine. So yeah, not gonna call him up right now. But that strikeouts is elite. Too early to tell on the home runs. Um, Probably needs demotion. Again, coming here, that's pretty good. Um, could still be sample size on that. Home runs per nine probably is, but the rest of the numbers are in line except for the strikeouts per nine. That'll probably come down. He's not playing his way onto the roster yet because this is his first year at AAA. Gardewine, not doing that great. Uh, Guerrera, or whatever, however you say it, not enough innings to know. Litzicum, see his numbers. His numbers are coming down. Strikeouts are up, but his walks are higher than they've ever been at the major league level. And he's facing AAA talent. That's not good. It really sucks to see a former two-time or three-time Cy Young winner go out the way Lincecum actually went out this year in real life. Um, oh yeah, this was the guy I was gonna throw to AAA and like see if I could get him time there. How's he doing? Doing pretty well. Not a lot of innings, so we'll see. We're gonna upset him when we demote him to AAA. 0.1 innings, so that doesn't count. Doing okay. So for this, I'm gonna look at the slash line, see if anything stands out. That's really bad. Um, that's also really bad. That's okay. I'd like to if you're gonna have a 278 average, I'd like to see the slugging percentage a lot higher than that. So Willie Calhoun, I kind of took a look at it. His slugging percentage is 667, and his on base percentage is 387. His average is 343. I think he's about to play his way onto the roster, but this episode is already longer than I want it to be, so I'm gonna look at that next time. Ibanez is doing about as well as I'd expect. Same with Christian Lopes. Actually, he's doing better than I would expect. So he may be pretty close to playing his way into potential promotion too. Trevor Plouffe. I'm not calling that man up. I am not calling that man up unless I need a DH for the rest of the year. That's a crap waiting to happen. I don't care what his numbers say. That guy is old and he should be hitting like that against AAA players. That's another guy who might look like he needs to get a shot at the major league level later this year. That's okay, not great. Um, he's doing really well. Might play his way into the outfield rotation later this season. Uh, that's okay, not great. Uh, Doing about as well as I would want him to do at AAA. So might be seeing him next year. And same thing there, doing about as well. I'd like to see that slugging percentage up since he's a little bit power over contact. But, you know, really, the only two people I would really say are kind of trying to play their way onto a roster right now are Willie Calhoun, Trevor Plouffe, and which one was it? Oh yeah, Hanser Alberto. So they're really trying to play their way onto that major league roster. So we'll have to see next time. Anyway, it's been almost 50 minutes. I didn't even realize that. So I will go ahead and end this here. We will do uh, May and hopefully the first few days of June next time. Like I've said before, I do want to give the draft its own episode. I do want to talk everything draft in that episode. That will probably be a very long episode. So I will go ahead and leave it here. If you do like what you see, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, I've been making adjustments based on some feedback. So I'm trying that out. That's why the voice sounds kind of different every time. Trying to see what really works. without having to spend a lot of money. I haven't spent anything yet, but I'm willing to spend a little bit if I need to. Just trying to do it with stuff I have around the house right now. Probably actually need to get a new mic to really solve these problems. But that's getting off topic. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.